the Perron house was a very, very old house. Very, very old house. Now, certain families can move into these houses where phenomena has taken place, but it doesn't affect them. Other families can move in and hell breaks loose.
Hello and welcome back to the most amazing channel on the internet. I am your host, Rebecca Felgate, and today I'm talking about the top 10 scary occurrences that happened at the Real Life Conjuring House. Honestly, I'm pretty scared, so I've worn all of my bright colours to keep the ghosts away, because clearly that's how it works. For those of you that don't know, the Conjuring movie is based on a haunting that happened at a farmhouse in Harrisville, which attracted the eyes of Ed and Lorraine Warren. Okay, you'll never know how hard it is to say Ed and Lorraine Warren really quickly. It's hard. Try and do it now. One of the children who lived in the house, Andrea Perron, wrote a book about her experience in her House of Darkness trilogy. Now, she claims that the movie toned things down so that it could reach a wider audience. We're about to find out some of the scary occurrences, but before we do, I want to ask you guys if you believe in ghosts. I'm a scientifically minded gal, but something inside me still really believes. Leave me your comments in the comments section down below. I might read one out in a future video. If you haven't yet liked this video, do it. Anticipate it. It's gonna be great. Check out the links in our description box for our sources and also our most amazing Instagrams. Alright, we're doing this. Coming in at number 10, we have the new owners. The Conjuring House has actually just been purchased by paranormal investigators Corey and Jennifer Heinzen. They couldn't resist the opportunity to buy the property. Corey moved in before his wife and set up recording equipment to see if they could track the many ghosts said to haunt the property. However, he has claimed that he is absolutely terrified of being there alone, and I don't blame him. The Heinzens recently spoke to the press in August 2019, and Corey himself said, "We've had lights flashing in rooms, and when I say lights flashing in rooms, it's rooms that don't even have light bulbs in yet. When something takes a painting that's on the wall but not only knocks it down, but actually knocks it down at an angle that it lands on something and it's upright, you know what? It's really difficult to debunk that." That's what he said. The pair also claimed to have seen a black mist, heard voices, and unidentified footsteps. With a paranormal investigator now in the home, it seems like we're going to likely be hearing more from the property, so stay tuned, I guess, for Harrisville 2.0. Next up, we have the next owners at number 9. Andrea Perron claimed that everyone who has lived in the house that we know of has experienced some hauntings. Some have left screaming and running for their lives, whilst others have been kinda cooler about it. When asked to give an example, she claimed that the people who bought the house off her family, the Perron family, and begun restoration on the property actually had a horrifying experience that they didn't want to speak about. She was speaking to the Talaposa Journal when she said, "The man who moved in after us to begin the restoration on the house when we sold it left screaming without his car, without his tools, without his clothing. He never went back to the house, and consequently the people who owned it, the adjacent landowners, never moved in, and it sat vacant for years." I'm just asking what he was doing restoring this house without his clothes on. Just a question. Just a question. It's not a question I'm gonna get an answer to though, because apparently he is not keen to speak to the press or anyone about his experience at the house ever again. This makes me feel really icky. At number 8, we have the 7 dead soldiers. It seems that during the Perron family's time at the home, a particularly nasty spirit began haunting 8-year-old Cindy in her bedroom. The apparition reportedly was childlike and repeated over and over again that there were 7 dead soldiers buried in the wall. Honestly, really creepy. Rhode Island, where the house is, was once the battleground between British, American and French forces in the 1778 Battle of Rhode Island. Now, this battle killed 68 people and left a further 68 missing. The house, as you may or may not know, was established in 1736, so perhaps the soldiers buried here are from the times of conflict seen in the eastern New England states. Coming in at number 7, we have the bangs and the shakes. The most common occurrences in the house are said to be banging doors and objects shaking of their own free will, at times even the house shaking. Now, the Perron children said that they would be awoken to spirits shaking their bed, and occasionally they'd wake up to the odd hair yank or leg yank. Not nice. The new owners of the home have also reiterated that the house does indeed shake. Now, an earthquake in Rhode Island is pretty unusual but not unheard of, although it seems that this quake only affected the Harrisville farm. Coming into number 6, we have the phantom flies. In Andrea Perron's book, she wrote that the house would be suddenly and inexplicably infested with flies at strange times. She explained that the houseflies would appear deep in the middle of winter. Flies, of course, are far more common in the warm, humid months of the year, and for those of you familiar with the harsh winters of New England, it certainly isn't the climate there. Andrea referred to these flies as the devil's pets, and she claimed that there would be so many of them that they would form little fly clumps, which sounds horrifying. In her book, she wrote clusters of them would huddle together as if plotting the next move. She claimed it was far more than an infestation. She said it was a manifestation. She added that, strangely, the flies would disappear as soon as they appeared. When the Warrens arrived to investigate the house, Lorraine claimed that the flies were actually there with a purpose. They were an omen, a harbinger of evil to come. Blimey. Next up, we have the uninvited guests. What are you realistically more scared of? Ghost intruders or real intruders? In America, a place of guns. The whole Conjuring saga deals with unwanted spirits. It turns out the owners before the most recent were utterly plagued by creepy fans trying to catch a glimpse of the supposedly haunted house. Former owner Norma Sutcliffe spoke out against the intruders. She said the biggest fear is every day that we live with the fact that we don't know what may happen. She said that she received calls in the middle of the night and threats that people were going to burn down her house because of its full evil. Norma claimed that she did not believe the house was haunted and had lived in peace in the property since 1987. That peace was disturbed when the Conjuring movie franchise shone a light on her home. Speaking to Inside Edition, Norma said,
"They think they have a right, and that makes me so angry. We no longer have any sense of peace. No privacy is totally gone."
She also claimed that strangers have pulled down her fence, which is a lot to deal with. Next up, we have the blood orange. In Andrea's book, she discusses the haunted kitchen in more detail. It seems that there is one particularly horrifying story from the room involving a time that food in the home was, I guess poisoned with evil? Is that what we're going with? I think it is. She claims that her mother Carolyn started peeling an orange when she saw blood trickling from it. At first, she thought she'd accidentally cut herself with the knife that she was peeling with, but then she couldn't find a wound. To keep her youngest daughters from wandering in and becoming frightened, allegedly she hastily cleaned up the blood from the skin and the floor and threw the orange in the bin. Some skeptics believe that the orange was just a California blood orange, but honestly, I've had a blood orange, delicious, and its juice doesn't look or smell anything like actual blood. It would be difficult to mistake the two. Next up, we have the Arnolds. Before the Perron family moved into the home, it was known as the Old Arnold Farm. It seems that 8 generations of the Arnold family lived and died in the house. Emphasis on the died. It seems that the Arnolds were met with a lot of bad luck and untimely deaths. It's claimed that a lot of the previous residents died under suspicious circumstances or committed suicide. It is said that one of the previous tenants, 93-year-old Mrs. Arnold, hung herself in the barn. This narrative has actually been crossed with the story of Bathsheba, the witch in the movie The Conjuring, and is referenced in this scene. The Perron family believed that one of the spirits that haunted the home was that of Johnny Arnold, who allegedly committed suicide there. It's said that he would watch over the family. He was a benevolent presence. He would appear to the children, but as soon as they made eye contact with him, he'd disappear. Coming into number 2, we have the Seance. One of the scariest moments in the Conjuring movie is the seance in the basement. It seems that this is based on the real-life event when Ed and Lorraine Warren visited the house. Andrea speaks about it in her books, and she's also spoken about it in a number of on-air interviews, including for San Antonio Living in 2014. She said that the real seance took place in the dining room and was much scarier than anything shown into the movie.
There was a seance that happened when the Warrens were in the house with you. What happened during that seance?
It was far more intense than anything that they could have portrayed on film.
Andrea said that the medium accidentally invited something nasty into the home.
Inadvertently opened a door that they could not close. The medium invited the spirits in, and with them came something which attacked my mother.
Andrea continued by saying, "Whatever attacked my mother was not of this world. It spoke through her in a language that was not of this planet." Terrifying, right? Nothing, though, is more terrifying than the legend of Bathsheba Sherman. The Harrisville house is allegedly haunted by a number of ghosts, some of which we've already discussed. The most prominent, however, is Bathsheba Sherman. Born in Rhode Island, the woman married fellow Rhode Islander Judson Sherman in 1844, and later the pair had 3 children that died before the age of 7 and a surviving child, Herbert. Suspicion around Bathsheba grew. A lot of people thought the woman was a witch. This happened when a child mysteriously died in her care. It seems that the child's head had been stabbed with a sewing needle. Bathsheba died an old woman, and it's said that her body literally turned to stone on her death. Witch. When the Perron family lived on the property, the mother Carolyn said that she was sitting on the sofa once when she felt like she'd been stabbed. She looked down and she had a wound. When she examined it, it looked as if a large sewing needle had impaled her. When Ed and Lorraine Warren visited the home, they claimed to have strongly felt the witch's presence. It's said that Bathsheba Sherman cursed the land so that whoever lived on it in the future would die. I guess we're all destined to die though, so I don't know. Okay, so all this being said, it seems like the Harrisville haunting was actually kind of nothing, because when asked to compare the Harrisville farmhouse to the Amityville house, another famous Ed and Lorraine Warren case, it seems that Lorraine Warren had this to say: Amityville was horrible, honey. It was absolutely horrible. She said, it followed us straight across the country. I don't even like to talk about it. I'll never go to the Amityville house again. You don't know how long my career is, and that is the only one. So yeah, I mean, I guess Harrisville, there's not a patch on Amityville, so instead of making a part 2 to this video, perhaps we ought to create a top 10 scary occurrences that happened at the real life Amityville house. I don't know though, I'm kinda scared. Maybe I'll need even more colour for that video. Okay, we've reached the end of the video, so before I go, I'm gonna read some comments from the top 10 mysterious people in history part 4. Random Gaming said, this is perfect to watch after a stressful day at school. Good, I'm so glad we could alleviate your stress, although, yay, school, enjoy. I want to tell you that life gets less stressful as you get older, but when you're my ripe old age, I don't know, I guess the stress is different. Like, at least these days I can buy things without having to ask my mum. Although she does call me when she thinks I'm spending too much money. Shout out, mum. Oofcom said, yay, love you, Rebecca Felgate, you're so fun and amazing. Oofcom, I love you, you're the best. Oofcom. Oofcom. Some of you enjoyed my accidental spitting in that video. Dean Friedel said, I love Rebecca, but I'm not gonna lie, I rewound her spitting like 15 times and died of laughter. No worries though. Good. Great. Glad to bring the fun. It's good to bring the fun in dark, scary videos. Honestly, I hope to be a candle in the wind of this spooky tundra. I'm just making up things now. I've run out of script, so it's probably time for me to go. If you like this video, make sure you leave a good thumbs up. Share it with a friend. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it. We're about to hit 6 million. Stick around, we've got a whole playlist, but until next time, I'll see ya. Bye.